Good day everyone, good day sir. For today's discussion, our group will tackle about the bioethical issues and morality on suicide, euthanasia, mutilation, and capital punishment with my co-group mates Ellah Jotojot, Roselyn Labadan, Jackelyn Laque, and Teofe Lisbos. So when we are going to talk about bioethics, bio means life and ethics means analyzing the concept of right and wrong. So the whole discussion will focus about life and morality. So what is bioethics? It is a branch of applied ethics that studies the philosophical, social, and legal issues arising in medicine and the life sciences. It is chiefly concerned with human life and well-being, though it is sometimes also treats ethical questions relating to the non-human biological environment. So our first topic for bioethical issues and morality is suicide. Suicide means self-killing. Suicide, from the Latin word suicidium, it means the act of taking one's own life. It is direct and deliberate destruction of one's life. So suicide obviously and commonly means ending your own life. And there are several examples of suicide. Number one is hanging by a rope. This is the most common suicide that we can hear on the news and everywhere. Kanang maghikog sila nga, magikot sila og pisi. Especially, did you hear about the news on the OFW nga naghikog siya dito sa iyang gitrabahoan sa balay sa iyang amo because of personal issues or whatever. So that is the number one examples of suicide. Next is jumping from high places. Kanang muambak sa mga habog-habog nga mga lugar, it's either building or mga mountains or whatsoever. And have you heard or have you seen the trending on Facebook kadtong estudyante nga gibuli siya tapos nikatkat siya dito sa habog-habog nga part sa eskwelahan, then niambak siya because wala na niya nakaya ang pangbuli sa iyang mga classmates. Next is drinking poisonous substances. So kaning kuan magbutang ka sa imong ilimnon o kanang mga hilo or miinom kag hilo kana mga ana. Next is cutting or slashing oneself. Kanang maglaslas, it's either diri sa pulso or diri sa liog. And last is intentional be hit by a car. Kanang tuyoon o papakamatay nga magpaligi sa mga sakyanan, maadto og kalsada magpatunga para maligsan sa mga sakyanan aron mamatay. Next, there are also several common causes of suicide. First is depression. So many people have suffered about depression, mani ang mental illness nga kanang mukalit na sila o mura sila magkurog-kurog, then magpalpitate sila, then bisag unsa na lang ilang mga naunaan, then mahadlok sila nga, then dili sila katulog. Next is unbearable problems, and next is losses. Kanang mawad-an ka og mahal sa kinabuhi, kanang dili nimo makaya ang kawadon bitaw nga magpakamatay na lang ka because of the feeling of kuan dili ka kumpleto o moral feeling nimo nga wala na silbi ang imong kinabuhi bitaw tungod sa katong tawo nga nawala sa imong kinabuhi. Next is family disruption. So kani magkawatak-watak nga mga pamilya, especially kadtong mga bata, especially ang maapektuhan jud ni is ang mga anak, kanang magkabuwag ang inahan ug ang amahan. So labi nagdili ka strong sa imong kaugalingon, so pag dili nimo makaya ang problema, murag amo sangko sa imong utok, pagpakamatay na lang ka para di na nimo ma-feel ang pain. And next is bullying, just like what I have mentioned earlier, kadtong lalaki siya nga tambok siya, then sige siya ginabuli nga, tambok nga na. So wala niya nakaya ang bullying, mauto ni ambak siya sa high places dito sa building sa ilang eskwelahan. Next is heartbreak. Yes, panagsan ako makadungog aning heartbreak kanang kung labi mag-cheat ilang partner, so kanang dili na makayang kasakit nga after what they have done, after sa tanan nilang gihatag, nakuha gyapon nga mag-cheat or biyaan or unsa ba na. Next is physical illness. kanang nakasakit, kanang cancer, labi nag stage 4 na, or unsa nga mga lala nga mga sakit, kanang feeling nila nga dili naman sila maayo, di wala ni pag-asa nga maulian pa sila, so magpakamatay na lang sila para dili na sila mag-suffer. At the same time, ilang family dili na po mag-suffer nga makita sa ila nga nagantos na sila. Next is traumatic events, kanang kadumdum ka sa mga kaagi nimo nga na trauma gid ka, din magbalik-balik sa imong hunahuna or makita lang kag butang or lugar or unsa ba nga makapadumdum sa imong murag magkuanak ka kanang di na ka mapakali, so ang uban pod kana pero paano na siya sometimes. And discrimination, yes, daghan jud nagpakamatay tungod anang discrimination labi na sa LGBT. Pero karon murag na lesson na ang case about sa discrimination sa LGBT because the community learns to accept them naman, especially in the Vatican. And last is financial problems, kanang wala ika-sustain or baka nag-utang-utang ana, so para takasan ang problema magpakamatay na lang sila. Now, let's tackle about the suicide moral implications. So, is it ethical to end our own life? So, Christians, moralists, and church teachings condemned suicide as immoral. The basic reasons are, number 1, it is against human nature. Man has that nature and instinct to preserve life. Yes, that's true. Number 2, it violates divine law. Thou shalt not kill. That is the 6th commandment in the 10 commandments. Third, life is a gift from God. Life is sacred. Only God has authority over it. So, ang Ginoo ra gid ang may karapatan nga mokuha sa atong kinabuhi kay igora po niya gipahulamo sa atoa. Fourth, since life is borrowed from God, man is only the steward of it. And lastly, killing oneself due to life frustrations and the burden of problems is cowardice or sign of being weak. So, how to deal with suicide? Number 1, open up your problems to your family or to anyone whom you can trust so that you'll get advices and will prevent you from doing unnecessary things. Second, socialize with other people for you to divert your attention and forget about the things that stressed you up. And third, cast all your burdens to God, for He is the only one who have the power to help you solve your problems and overcome from whatever the things that brings you down, So, there are a lot of solutions or recommendations or ways for us to deal with suicide, but I will give you just only 3. So, that's it.
Good day everyone, my name is Hanna Mae Jalop, and my part for our report is about euthanasia. I hope you can learn something and I hope you listen to my report. Thank you. Euthanasia. Euthanasia means painless death. From the Greek word eu means easy and thanatos means death. Euthanasia is defined as the deliberate putting to death or hastening of one's death in a peaceful and painless way of a patient suffering from a severe and incurable ailment. Okay? Euthanasia is also known as mercy killing. Remember that? Euthanasia is painless death and also known as mercy killing. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, types of euthanasia. What are the types of euthanasia? Okay, the first type of euthanasia is active voluntary. What is active voluntary? Active voluntary is insofar as an act is performed by the doctor or anyone, voluntary since the patient requests it so. Okay, number 1, active voluntary, it means that this euthanasia is being performed by the doctor or anyone who is capable of doing so, and the patient is volunteering for this kind of death. He or she is requesting it to be happen. So that is active voluntary. Number 2 is passive voluntary. What is passive voluntary? Okay, the patient is simply allowed to die without any medical method done. voluntary since it is requested by the patient. Again, passive voluntary. The patient is requesting it. The patient is voluntarily want it. Okay, but passive, it means that the patient is allowed to die without any medical method done. So that is passive voluntary. Now, number 3 is active non-voluntary. Number 3 is active non-voluntary. Active non-voluntary, it is decided by the doctor, the family, relatives, or the loved ones of which some medical act is done for the termination of the patient's life. This, however, is without the consent or request of the patient. Okay, active non-voluntary, this kind of euthanasia is decided by the doctor, the family, the relatives, or the loved ones of the patient. Also, there is medical action or method being done, but without the patient's consent. That is active non-voluntary. Okay, for the last one, passive non-voluntary, the termination of patient's life is done by merely allowing the subject or the patient to die without any positive medical means performed. Decision for the termination is not of the patient but of the relatives of the doctor. Okay, for this last type of euthanasia, passive non-voluntary, the death of the patient is done without any medical act or medical method. Also, the patient has not given his or her consent, and it is decided by the family and the doctors. That is passive non-voluntary. I hope you understand that. Okay, let's go to the next slide. I put some meanings of the term about what I said a while ago about the types of euthanasia for you to able to understand better. Active euthanasia, killing a patient by active means. For example, injecting a patient with a lethal dose of a drug, sometimes called aggressive euthanasia. Yes, that is active euthanasia. Passive euthanasia, intentionally letting a patient die by withholding artificial life support such as ventilator or feeding tube. Some ethicists distinguish between withholding life support with withdrawing life support. The patient is on life support but then removed from it. That is passive euthanasia. Okay, voluntary euthanasia, it means with the consent of the patient. Involuntary euthanasia, of course, without the consent of the patient. For example, if the patient is unconscious or his or her wishes are unknown. Some ethicists distinguish between involuntary against the patient's wishes and non-voluntary without the patient's consent but wishes are unknown forms. Okay, that is the meaning of those terms I said a while ago from the types of euthanasia. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Common reasons of euthanasia. Okay, euthanasia is a very broad topic. It is a very sensitive thing for people because euthanasia involves ending someone's life. So let's know the common reasons why people is doing euthanasia. Okay, the first reason is to end the suffering of the patient. Yes, the first and main reason for having a euthanasia is to end the suffering of the patient. As I said a while ago about the passive euthanasia, other patients are supported only, example, by a ventilator or a tube to be alive. That is very hard for a patient because your life is supported by a machine. So the parents, the relatives, the family, or the doctor decided to end the suffering of the patient. That is why euthanasia is being done. Okay, that is number 1. Number 2 is the patient suffering affects the family of the patient suffering affects the members of the family. Of course, seeing a patient suffering, the family and the relatives, the loved ones are also affected by it. So they perform euthanasia to end the suffering of the patient and also to end their own suffering. Last one of our common reasons of euthanasia is lack of financial means for medication. Of course, being hospitalized or being in hospital for a long time, it costs you a lot of money. So other people cannot have that kind of money, don't have the financial matter, so they perform euthanasia. They end the patient's life because of they end the patient's life to end the suffering of the patient, to stop the emotional issues, the emotional sufferings, and also to stop the money being given to the hospital, no, to stop para mo stop na ang gasto, wala na gasto. Kay if machine na lang ang nagbuhi isa ka tao, gasto man dyan na siya, so mag-euthanasia na lang para ma-end ang gasto and para ma-end na rin ang suffering sa isa ka patient. You know what I mean? Okay, let's go to the next slide. Moral implications. Yes, it is ethical to apply euthanasia. Okay, let me answer you to the okay, for moral implications. We have a question here. Is it ethical to apply euthanasia? Okay, let's find out. According to the Christian Church, particularly the Roman Catholic Church among others, they strongly objective euthanasia as morally evil for the following reasons. It is a grave crime against justice, human and divine. Man, whether a doctor, spouse, or family members of the patient, has no right or authority to end the life of another or his own for whatever reasons. Yes. As a Christian and as a normal citizen, I believe in the Bible and I believe in God. So I believe that killing others or killing yourself is a great crime. It is an immortal sin because ending one's life or ending your own life is against the law of God. It is written by the Bible. Written in the Bible. Okay, let's talk about other reasons. Number 1, it is regarded as homicide and murder, unlawful killing. Yes, killing someone is seen as a homicide or a murder. Yes, it is a crime. It is an unlawful killing. Yes, because if you end another person's life, you kill that patient, unintentional or intentional, then you're a murderer for whatever reason it may be. Okay, number 2, it is an intentional killing. Yes, killing someone is intentional, whatever reason it may be. Mercy killing to end a patient's suffering. Killing is intentional with euthanasia. Okay, remember that. Performing euthanasia is an intentional killing because it is ending one's life by whether it is being injected, being stopped, stopping the ventilator or the machine. It is very intentional. Okay. Number 3, it is contrary to the natural and divine positive law where God alone has the ownership of life. Of course, as a Christian, we believe that God alone is the only owner of our life. So God is the one who only has the right to end our life, whether we want it or not, or anytime He decided. No? God alone is the only one who has the right to end our lives. Not you, not anyone, not your family, not your parents, not your girlfriend, not your boyfriend, but only God. That is written in the Bible. And killing someone is a conflict or an objection to the natural and divine law. Okay, the last one is it is a violation of the natural inclination to preserve life. Yes. Killing someone is a violation, and if you kill someone or end another life, you are not preserving life. If you want to preserve life, then preserve life by not ending it. Preserve life by living. Preserve life and help others. Motivate others not to kill themselves, and be strong to decide and be mature. You think deep why you should not end another people's life. Okay? I hope you understand that. Okay, let's go to the next page. Okay. Oh, class interaction. Sadly, our group is only recording because we don't have a synchronous class this week. So, the class interaction is being changed into just presenting a video. Okay, I choose two person, which is Shania Lumsten and Jason Bisaya, to state or to say their opinions, whether they agree to the concept of euthanasia or not agree by the concept of euthanasia. So let's watch their opinions and learn from it. Okay. This is the question. Do you agree about the concept of euthanasia? Let's watch this.
Hi, I'm Jason, and I was tasked to give my perspectives about the mercy killing or euthanasia, and I have listed down my perceptions about the topic. And when we talk about euthanasia or mercy killing, there is clearly a desire, whether we like it or not, among a number of patients and the end of often terrible battles with debilitating incurable diseases to end their suffering with the support of their relatives. To deny this right is to prolong the suffering for individuals and families, something that I cannot simply not condone. I do accept, though this is not like any other clinical decisions, and that if society is to offer this solemn choice, it must be also built in safeguards to its laws that not only rectify the inadequacies of the current situation, but also to protect the vulnerable, the weak, and all those, doctors and nurses included, who are involved in this incredibly difficult situation. And we all know that euthanasia is a difficult situation. As a start, we must enact legislation to decriminalize acts of euthanasia and physician-assisted suicide. Many people are opposed to legislation that would allow end-of-life choices. But my concerns, relating to the abuses and protection of vulnerable can be addressed by ensuring that certain objective safeguard conditions are met prior to allowing terminally ill individual from exercising his or her right to die with dignity. Some of the safeguards include the following, or some of the considerations that you should look at when exercising euthanasia are: the patient must be terminally ill, the patient must be an adult, the patient must be mentally competent, the patient must be in severe pain. Two independent physicians must be satisfied that the above conditions are present. In conclusion, the only humane choice is to allow individuals who are suffering to choose to end their suffering. Further, the discrepancies in the laws as they exist, how they are being enforced, have led to uncertainty. This uncertainty leaves the doctors, their patients, and patients' loved ones unprotected. If we do not address these issues openly and head-on, we will have continued uncertainty and unregulated practice of euthanasia or assisted suicide, with the fear of prosecution hanging over the heads of all concerned. So that is why I am pro to euthanasia or mercy killing. Thank you.
Personally, I do not agree with mercy killing, since I believe that God is the only one who is in control and He is the only one who knows when will be our time. And even if we say that it's a way of helping others to ease their pain, it's still not in our hands, and who are we to decide about that?
Expressing my deepest thanks for Hanna Mae Jalop and Jason Bisaya for sharing their opinions about how they agree and not agree with the concept of euthanasia. Okay, as a reporter, I want to express also my opinion about this concept, which is the euthanasia. Okay, for me, I am not agree, 100% not agree by the euthanasia. I understand the patient suffering. I understand how hard it is, even if I didn't experience it myself. But I really believe that ending one's life is an immortal sin, and God is the only one who has the right to end our lives. And I believe if it is the patient's time to be dead, no? Kung time na talaga ng tao na mamatay, tatanggapin dapat natin yun. Tanggapin natin nang hindi labag sa kalooban natin, kasi lahat naman talaga kasi ng tao namamatay. Nakalagay din yan sa Bible na lahat ng tao ay nagkakasala. Ang kabayaran nun is ang kamatayan. So, ang Diyos lang ang may karapatan na putulin yung buhay natin. At tandaan natin na kahit anong mangyari, wala tayong karapatan sa buhay ng tao. Hindi naman natin kasalanan kung bakit nagkaganon yung tao. Nahihirapan din tayo sa sitwasyon, pero hindi rason ang pagpatay. Hindi rason na putulin ang buhay ng isang tao dahil lang nahihirapan siya. This is not to offend those people, but then siguro kung mararanasan ko yun na merong taong mahal na mahal ko, tapos parang nahihirapan na talaga siya, machine na lang yung bumubuhay sa kanya, siguro hindi ko na lang siguro papakialaman. Ipapaubaya ko na lang sa mas mataas sa akin, sa mas may alam, pero hindi ako yung mismo magde-decide kung puputulin ko ba yung buhay ng taong yun, no? Hahayaan ko lang kung matatapos sa bang buhay niya o hindi, pero hindi ko hahayaan yung sarili ko mag-decide dun para sa tao kung paano niya gustong putulin yung buhay niya. So, I hope you understand. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Ellah Jotojot. I hope you learned something from my report. That is euthanasia. Remember everything, okay? That is a very interesting topic. And I hope you have a good day. Thank you, everyone. God bless.
Mutilation. Mutilation means destroying one's body. Mutilation from the Latin word mutilus. It is a cutting off or causing injury to a body part of the person, so that the part of the body will permanently damaged, detached, or disfigured. So here are some examples of mutilation. First is scarifying. Scarifying involves scratching, burning, itching, or cutting designs or words into the skin. So, scarifying can be achieved using any object that can remove the skin, by burning or whatever object it is that can leave a scar into the skin. But pila lang sablang try no, because most of the people hate having scars in their skin, in their bodies. But of course, there are also some people who loves to scarify their body, their skin. Then next is tattooing. Tattooing is a design made from inserting inks,
dyes, and pigments in the body. So I know most of the people here know what is tattooing, because tattooing is very common to our country already. And just like scarifying, there are also some people who don't like tattooing, and there are also people who like tattooing. It's either they want tattoo in their body because they have problems, or for stress reliever, or just to satisfy themselves. Then next is flagellation. Flagellation is an act of beating the body with special implements. I know most of you is familiar with this one, especially Catholic people. Because I know flagellation or self-flagellation is religious traditions. It is the disciplinary and devotional of flogging oneself with whips and other instruments that inflict pain. The next is circumcision. So circumcision is what we call tuli or pagpatuli diri sa atua. It is an ancient practice that has its origin in religious rites, and it also reduces the bacteria that can live under the foreskin. So next is transplant. Organ is being transferred to a recipient to replace the damaged organ. So transplant. There are a lot of different types of transplant, but kidney transplant are the most common type of transplant surgery, which is mabuhi gyapon ka bisag mawala ang imong isa ka kidney. Then next is sex change operation. It is an operation wherein one sex organ is removed and changed. So sex change operation is performed to transition individuals with their desired gender. Next is cutting or slashing. It is an act of cutting a part of human body. Then the last example is amputation. Amputation is a removal of a limb due to medical illness or surgery. It is either your leg, below or above the knee, or even your arm. So, scarifying, tattooing, flagellation, circumcision, transplant, sex change operation, cutting, and amputation are the examples of mutilation. So next is the common reasons of mutilation. First is satisfaction. Second is problems. Third is illness. Fourth is culture. Then religion and organization. These are the common reasons why some people out there has to undergo those examples of mutilation that I discussed earlier. That's it.
Greetings everyone. In continuation, my topic is all about death penalty or capital punishment. This death penalty, it is an execution of an offender sentenced to death after conviction by a court of law of a criminal offense. This death penalty is applicable. It depends on how serious your crime is. For example, a person raped multiple times. Therefore, when we say rape, this is a very serious crime. And pila na imuhang tao na nga rape, and especially katong mga bata pa imong na rape. Therefore, ang kinahanglan na nimo siya pagbayaran nga sala, and that crime ang the court will judge you, like for example, okay, kay grabe na siya ka-serious na crime na hindi buhat, so kinahanglan niya og death penalty. And another one, we have the murder, like for example, you are living pila nakatuig, then after that naka-murder kag isa, and then dili lang ka isa, gibuhat pa nimong tanan, then wala ka ni surrenderhan to daghan na imong tao nga napatay, and they are very innocent. Therefore, ang court mo judge ana, mo execute ang court na okay, kani kay grabe na ka-serious ang ilang crimes na na-complete, therefore mag-death penalty na siya. Muna siya. When we say death penalty, it means nga ang imong sala pagbayaran nimo through death dili siya basta-basta because the law will judge you, the court will judge you on how serious your crime has been committed. Dili lang siya nga kanang sige kani kay nakakuan ka sige death penalty, no, na siya investigation, na siya kanang mga hearing ana sa court, and then the court of law will judge you na okay kani grabe na siya kasayos, then ang imong sala pagbayaran nimo to death. That is why it is called death penalty or capital punishment. There are different types of death penalty. First, we have the crucifixion. Crucifixion in which the victim is tied or nailed to a large wooden beam and left to hang perhaps for several days until eventually death. Have you observed in a picture in which na siya dako nga kahoy, and then sa tunga ana is na ay tao, like moto siya ang kanang katong criminal, of course, na ginaa siya nil, gidukdukan siya, and that is the crucifixion. Pasagdo na siya until maabot sa time na mamatay na lang na siya. So, ihang na siya dito, and then for several days, pasagdan siya until mamatay na siya, and that is the crucifixion. Second, we have the strangulation. It is a compression of the neck that may lead to unconscious death, or the act of killing someone by pressing their throat so that they cannot breathe. It is simply, ang strangulation is like tukon ka. So when someone gituk ka, so of course pag tukon ka, dili ka makaginhawa, and that will cause you into death, and that is strangulation, kanang tukon ka, mura na siya. The third one, we have the hanging. The hanging is to perform a suspension. A rope or other ligature is tied into a noose with a compression due to the body's own weight and will cause death. Kanang gibitay, di ba? When someone is gibitay, they are using a rope or unsa pa na nila nga lig-on nga ligature para pag once ibitay ang isa ka tao, dili siya mabukto. Diba pag ibitay ang tao, like for example, you are using rope, then diri ana siya ibutang sa liog. Therefore, there is a big impact sa imuhang weight. Pag mabugatan ang isa ka tao, so ang iyang force na diri atanan sa iyang nag-compress diri atanan sa liog, and that will cause into death of a person. The fourth one is the drowning. It is a type of suffocation induced by the submersion or immersion of the mouth and nose into a liquid. Kanang gilumsan ka. Once, gagamit na sila og tubig, a form of liquid, right? So, ang pag once ang tao is gilumsan na siya. Therefore, dili ka kalinhawa because walay oxygen dito as sa tubig. Right? Kaya pungan niya ang imuhang pagginhawa, kaya kung ginhawa ka dito sa tubig, makainom ka o tubig. Therefore, pag once lumusan ka, dili ka makaginhawa, and that will cause into death of a person. The fifth one, we have the decapitation. Or beheading. It is a type of capital punishment by which the head will be cut. Kanang giputlan kang ulo. It is just simple. Ang beheading or decapitation, kanang giputlan ka og ulo, gipugutan ka og ulo. They are using any sharp materials, like for example, sundang or whatever it is na makapatay, makaputol siya. And that is decapitation, giputlan ka og ulo. The sixth, we have the lethal injection. It is a practice of injecting too many drugs in the body or to the person to cause rapid death. Lethal injection, it is injecting drugs to a person's body. Diba, when you are taking too much drugs in mong lawas, kay kanang na ay ma-overdose ka. So, it means pag ma-overdose ka, therefore, there is a cause of death. Okay, of course, kanang nasubraan naman imong lawas, and dili man siya mako-respond directly ang imuhang lawas because there are too many drugs gi-inject sa imuha, and that will cause into a death. The seven, we have the electrocution. It is the injury or killing someone by electric shock. Have you seen in the movie or sa picture lang, like kanabitang there is somewhat like a hat diri ang gibutan sa criminal, diri ang gibutan, that is not a hat, that is electric na siya para once kanang i-press to siya makuryentihan ka. Muna siya ang electrocution by the usage of electricity para once ang tao di ba pag once makuryentihan ka ay mamatay jud ka directly labi na og dugay ka nga nakuryentihan. The eighth is the gas chamber. It is an apparatus consisting of a sealed chamber into which a poison or asphyxiant gas is introduced in order to kill a person. This type of death penalty is not new to us. This gas chamber, it is like a trap na siya chamber or kanang itong balay without any hole nga makagawas ang hangin. So therefore naa siya chamber dito ang wala gihangin nga makasulod. And as the criminal will put into that kind of chamber, then ay gas ibutang dira, and that is called asphyxiant. By that kind of gas, pag once i-inhale niya sa criminal, therefore kanang ma-inhale man to niya, and that gas is grabe man siya og impact, therefore makakos siya og death sa katao. 9 is the firing. A person is shot to death by one or more firearms. Ang magamit din sila og pusil. So ang isa ka tao katong kriminal ibutang dira sa tunga, therefore pusil-pusilon sila, and that is firing, another types of death penalty. The last type of death penalty is boiling, a method of execution commonly involving a large container of heated liquids such as water, oil, molten lead, wax, tallow, or wine, into which a convicted prisoner was placed until he died. Naa siya dako kay nga container, kana nga container na siya water, and ang dili na kay water katong mga oil unsay ipangbutang dira nga liquid. Then kuan na siya kanang gipabukalan na siya, init kayo ang tao dito, ibutang ang tao until mamatay ang tao, and that is boiling.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Teofe Lisbos, and I am going to report about the reasons in favor of the capital punishment, reasons against the capital punishment, and the religious views on capital punishment or death penalty. First is the reasons in favor of capital punishment. Number 1, it lessens the number of crimes. Why? Because those criminals will be punished, and those people who will commit crime will be sentenced to death as penalty for their acts. Number 2, to give fears to the criminal to commit crime. Yes, exactly, because the more they fear about the death penalty, there might be a chance for them not to do such hideous and bad actions. Number 3, for the protection of the innocent people. Yes, death penalty might be the solution to avoid such bad acts to the victim. Also, for the welfare, the safety, and the life of the people can't be bothered or harmed. So those are the reasons in favor of capital punishment we have gathered. Next is the reasons against the capital punishment. Reasons against the capital punishment. Number 1, innocent people might be killed by false accusation. So, there are also chances that innocent or the people who are accused with false information might be killed, and it is not good or fair. Number 2, it is inhumane. Inhumane because all of us people can make mistakes naman, so we should also give those criminals to change or magbago ng kanilang sarili, because maybe they have learned their lesson to not do those actions they've done again. And we should also consider their side why they do such things, because maybe nadala lang sila sa mahirap nila na sitwasyon. Number 3, it can't be undone if new evidence is revealed. So, di na mababalik pa ang buhay na nawala, because what if there are some evidence that will prove his or her innocence, so it is unfair to that person to get his or chance to clear his name again. Number 4, capital punishment does not deter crime. So, if a person really wants to do a crime, di yan mahahadlangan ng death penalty, because there are really some people who do such crimes or mga masasamang gawain. Even though there are death penalty, that won't stop the people who are eager to commit crime. Number 5, it goes against almost every religion. Why? It is because that is against the will of God, against in the 10 Commandments, which is, thou shalt not kill. That is why almost every religion are not in favor of death penalty. Number 6. It conflicts with the human rights, the right to live. Yes, it is really a conflict because one of us has the right to live in this world and no one is allowed to get that away from us. We should also consider and value the life of each people and let them live. So, those are the 6 reasons against the capital punishment. Now, we will proceed the religious views on capital punishment or death penalty. Religious views on capital punishment. Number 1. Killing is an immortal sin according to Bible. Just like I said earlier, that it is against in the 10 Commandments, which is the thou shalt not kill. Number 2. They believe Jesus Christ came to earth to reform sinners, as he did with the woman caught in adultery in John 8, verse 1 to 11. So, Jesus Christ is the one who will judge and change sinners into a good one. Just like in John 8, verse 1 to 11, the woman was forgiven and she was told by God not to do a sin again. Number 3. Christians believe in the sanctity of life, that life is holy and belongs to God and therefore only God has the power to take life. So, biblically speaking, only God has the right to take the life He gave to us. Also, we believe that we are sacred creation of God, that is why life is holy and not should be taken by anyone or killed by anyone. Number 4. Only God can judge us. And lastly, the essence of second chances. Yes, as we are not perfect, we should give each other second chances to change and correct the mistakes we have done. In addition to the topic, I have here a question: are you in favor of capital punishment? So I just asked 2 of my classmates to give their insight about the death penalty. If are they in favor or not in favor of the capital punishment. Let us hear first the insight of Mr. Dumanon, followed by Ms. Lucagbo.
Hi, I was asked by the reporter to give comments or to give an opinion about the death penalty. So the question is, am I agree with the capital punishment? As the Catholic disagree with death penalty or capital punishment, I also disagree with with that concept because no one can take the life of everybody or anyone. Only God can take a life from us because He is the Creator. But the Catholic Church believes also that the criminal must have a chance to renew himself because man is not absolute in the attitude, but also he can change, he can grow. That's why the Catholic Church disagree with that concept because they gave chance to the criminal. That's all.
Hi, good morning. So for today's video, I'll be giving my personal insights about death penalty. Actually, when it comes to this kind of topic, in between yun ko, dili ko agree, dili po ko against. Because first, we do not have the right to inflict judgment sa kinabuhi sa usa ka tawo because we Christians believe that only God has the power to do so. Yet, on the other hand, I also value the principle of the golden rule of Confucius: do not do unto others if you do not want others to do unto you. In addition to that, a Bible verse from Leviticus said that an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. That is why, if ever man nga legalize ang death penalty here in our country, siguro for heinous crimes lang, like for rape and murder. Kaya for me, those two ang pinakabugat gyud na crimes and therefore deserve nila ang death penalty. Pero via lethal injection lang, dili para sa Saudi Arabia nga pugutan gid bitaw og ulo, just to give a sense of dignity and morality to the person that is being indicted. That would be all. Thank you.
Those are the comments about the question. For Mr. Dumanon, he is against the death penalty for he believed that God has the only right to take our life because He is our Creator. And also, he believed that we should give chances to the criminals to change. While for Ms. Lucagbo, she is in between, either agree or not agree, because she believed that God is the only power to judge our life. Also, according to her, that if ever death penalty will be legalized in the Philippines, it is for those crimes like rape and murder, because those two crimes are the most unacceptable actions to do to the victims. So that's all of my report. Thank you and have a good day.
And that is our report for the bioethical issues, the suicide, euthanasia, mutilation, and capital punishment. I hope you learned something. Have a nice day and God bless. Thank you.